Most of my adult life has been spent touring Ontario with my outdoor summer theatre company, Driftwood. But in 2020, all of that changed.
Actors have trained, literally trained, to be present and to breathe, to have hard conversations, and also to have access to joy.
After 2 years of no shows and no travel, I decided it was time to hit the road.
Driftwood came at a time in my life that I was wanting to expand what I was doing as a theater artist.
It sort of became the benchmark for me in terms of personal fulfillment and what I looked for when I was, choosing projects in the future and creating projects with friends in the future.
Join me as I head out on my bike to reconnect with the people and places that I've come to love over the past 25 years. Along the way, we'll visit some of my favorite performance sites, meet with local business owners, and talk to some of the artists who've shared the road with me. Oh, and of course there'll be a little Shakespeare because he and I go way back. Every Driftwood season starts right here at Todd Morton Mills, nestled in the Don Valley in the heart of Toronto, Ontario. The site is gorgeous. It has beautiful grounds, wonderful trails. We use a theater inside the building over here where there's also an art gallery, and it's just the perfect place to get a season started and get ready to head out onto the road. But for today, we're gonna stick close to home. We're going to visit one of my absolute favorite bike shops, Town Moto, and then of course we're gonna get ice cream because no day is complete without ice cream. So let's get to it. Living in Toronto, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all of the structure and the steel. So I deliberately try to find spaces both for my personal life and for work where I can feel a sense of connection again. Being here at Todd Morton Mills is so important because it gives us access to the Don Valley where it's helpful to be able to sort of leave the rehearsal hall and immediately step out into this wonderful environment where you build that sense of connection again. And that sense of connection is absolutely vital when you're making art.
So rarely do you feel like you have spaces to make mistakes and feel like it is okay and be able to actually contribute to the larger picture. And I think Driftwood really was the place where I can do that. Jeremy created an atmosphere to allow for that, to propose, to pitch. It was a collaboration in the way that I imagine what collaboration is.
When I can't get out of the city, Rosedale Valley Road is like the perfect little stretch of asphalt. As soon as you drop into the road, you can just breathe. It's 3 minutes of pure bliss. The city falls away and you're surrounded by trees and extraordinary viaduct and bridges passing over you. Hey! Every time I get to walk in, I'm so excited. So here we are at Town Moto, which is actually one of my favorite places to shop for bike gear. What's the history of the place?
Town Moto is actually started by two founders, Marika and Andrew. We just celebrated 9 years. The biggest thing about the shop is the sense of community. With the riding community, there was always this disconnect for you don't ride a specific type of bike, you're not in our crew, and that was something that Town Moto was always built on, was just let's get people on bikes, but also let's help other people meet other people regardless of what you ride. It helps them form friendships and bonds with other riders and build a community within themselves that never existed. Like they could have been riding since they were 17 and knew nobody.
This space that we're sitting in right now, pre-pandemic, was often used for tutorials, for events, for Moto Social.
We saw an opportunity to use it as a way to expand the outside in, or inside out, I guess I should say, change the way we shop a bit, so that was amazing in itself. The thing about COVID that was really interesting for us was motorcycling was an activity that you could still do in a very safe way, whether you're working on a project bike, you're riding trails, or you're just out for a rip. The community was really very supportive in supporting local, buying from the shop. You know, a business is nothing without their community and their customers.
Oh, that's ridiculous. We haven't yet talked about you and your riding. You're a relatively new rider.
I was working a 9 to 5, and so at that time it was, really just the commuting 5 minutes in the city. How quickly those 5 minutes became the best 10 minutes of my day. I racked up about 13,000 kilometers exploring Ontario, which truthfully, I don't know if I would have done if we were if we weren't grounded. I swear half of the roads in Ontario were designed by people who ride because they're just beautiful and stunning. With motorcycling, you get a lot of time alone. As much as it's a community-driven activity, it's very much a reflective, refreshing, I use the word rejuvenating a lot because it doesn't take a lot of time to get the check that you need, the exhale and the inhale back.
There is no greater connection to storytelling than around open sky. The immediacy of what that means, including all of the mosquitoes and all of the different creepy crawly things that you will encounter, which are a part of nature and all its beauty.
So we just got the call. We will not be going to the ice cream place today. They have a confirmed case of COVID among their staff, so we are not able to get there today. Hopefully we'll get to catch up with them again in a few weeks. Not being able to get ice cream was a bummer, but when life gives you lemons, I thought we'd change course a little bit and I would get some tea and talk about motorcycles and art with an old friend.
The Royal Academy of Illustration and Design, otherwise known as RAID, is an artist collective and what we like to call a creative ecosystem, where we have everything from a gallery to artist desks to just community-driven events and all that kind of thing. We have the gallery and El Almacen, our cafe in the front. They got coffees, empanadas, sandwiches. It's actually great for us as artists because we can just walk out our front door and we got lunch. We don't have to go very far. They've been established for about 10 years in their older location. They bring with them their community, which is fans of their coffee, fans of their food, and also the motorcycle culture that actually revolves around the cafe. I used to motocross when I was a kid. The last time I actually rode it was in our hometown. I don't know if this has been revealed. Jeremy and I are from Oshawa, Ontario. Oshawa has a Fiesta Week every year. I was dressed as a matador on a motorbike with bull horns. You give a 9-year-old kid the opportunity to ride a motorbike down the streets of a city, popping wheelies, skidding around the Shriners in their go-karts. Ah, what a glorious day that was.
What are you riding right now?
I'm riding a 1976 BMW Airhead. It's an old ticker, but it works nicely. The great thing about that style of bike, these bikes were built so drunk Bavarian soldiers could fix them in the middle of the war, in the middle of the winter. It's the simplest bike to work on, to learn on. In a weird way, COVID was good. The good aspect of it was that it gave us time. It allowed us to finish up renovation and finish up the space, basically. Something that might have taken longer if the world was bustling along. The cafe opened mid-COVID, the gallery opened mid-COVID. A whole new community has grown out of the whole COVID scenario, if you will.
You've been a part of Driftwood's life too, in a sort of a strange way, for a very, very long time. And so you've designed almost 20 posters.
Yeah.
And one show. Do you still have a favorite piece that you did?
Probably two favorites. The most memorable for me, I think it was Macbeth.
We still get people talking about that.
Yeah, that's a favorite. And I think 12th Night, we just did something unique with those that, at the time I was exploring different ideas.
Is there a work in general that you're most proud of?
Probably biggest marker would be my adaptation of Jim Henson's Tale of Sand, which was my adaptation of a screenplay that Jim Henson wrote back in the 1970s. And that was a pure joy to do, kind of next level. All the things that happened because of that project, from meeting the Henson family, being sent the complete archives of Jim Henson's experimental college videos and that kind of thing. It was just purely mind-blowing.
When to the sessions of sweet silent thought I summon up remembrance of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes new wail my dear time's waste. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and moan the expense of many a vanished sight. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored, and sorrows end.
Well, just as long as you're looking for me. Well, just as long as
What do you think is the relationship between motorcycles and Shakespeare?
For the era, Shakespeare is very different, but the same stories are always being told in new ways, and so everyone takes their own experiences out of what they need in a way that is hopefully wiser, more exciting, more present. It just like kind of holds a mirror to yourself.